Hello everyone, Sammy here, and today I have another speed build for my roulette series. This is the second place I was living at after leaving my parents' ranch. There was one place before this that it wasn't very nice, and I technically wasn't paying rent. It was sort of like one of those situations where the hot janitor lets a bunch of the girls stay with him, which in hindsight, kind of lucky that there wasn't like a ton of cash situation there, where he kept some of us for 10 years, but no, it was actually a pretty sweet deal. Anyway, this one I lived with a lady. Well, we will call her, for right now we'll call her Mrs. Rogers. And she was the owner, and she rented to me, and she rented to her boyfriend, we'll call him Lamar, and she rented to a married couple. And you really can get quite a nice place to live if you have roommates. A lot of people don't like that idea. They think it's, oh, you have to live in a cheap place where you where you have to have roommates, and it's not a nice thing. But the place I live in now is really nice. You've seen it before. And I honestly think this place was pretty nice, and I was able to afford this as a high school student because of the roommate situation. I saw the ad in the paper, and it's okay, you know what? This is perfect. This is perfect. So we're gonna go with that. But unfortunately, you do have to sort of have a good synergy with your roommates. If the synergy is off and if you don't get along well, it's going to be a very awful experience. So, I think you can tell where this is going. When I was living here, things started out great. I really liked Mrs. Rogers. We got along pretty good. Mrs. Rogers wasn't super friendly, but she also wasn't mean either. Her boyfriend was a huge problem. Her boyfriend was, for lack of a better words, a douchebag, and he was a womanizing playboy who was disrespectful and sexist, and he was always saying racial slurs and stuff. And he was super ghetto. He was ghetto, from the wrong side of the track ghetto. And it was really weird because there was a stark contrast between Mrs. Rogers and her boyfriend Lamar, but every once in a while you would see that Mrs. Rogers had a little bit of ghetto in her too, so I guess they weren't totally mismatched. So we are living together for quite some time, and things are going good. I do all the cooking, and there's another girl, the wife of the married couple. We're just going to call her the wife for right now. And the wife does the cleaning, I do the cooking, and all of us work. I go to school and I work, and I mostly do commissions at this point. I think I was doing art commissions at this point. And things start getting really weird when the husband of the married couple, we'll just call him the husband of the married couple, he starts taking long business trips. And I never really got along with the married couple, at all, because, the guy was, super geeky and, nerdy, and, I guess I can have, some weed tendencies, too, but he was, more, math is fun kind of nerdy, and not, the video games and anime kind of nerdy. And his wife was sort of a mean girl. Think of Regina George, but a southern Regina George, where she had the super thick accent. Yeah, they basically snubbed me all the time. I would try to make plans for us to hang out, because I went from the last place where all of us got to be really close friends to this place where we basically just shared the house, and that was it, and nobody wanted any friends. And so finally, I think they also didn't really like me that much, because I was still, I was still 16, and they viewed me as like a minor, except for the times when Lamar tried to hit on me, but that's beside the point. I had tried to tell Mrs. Rogers that her boyfriend was no good, but she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't meddle in my business. That's none of your business. And I was like, okay, try to warn you. So whatever happens, happens. And whatever happens very much did happen. So one day, I'm out and Mrs. Rogers is out, and the husband is out as well. And Lamar and the wife are naked on the couch. Now, there could be any number of reasons for being naked on the couch, but when her husband came home, he immediately jumped to a conclusion that turned out to be the right conclusion. He had assumed that Lamar and his wife were having an affair, and it turned out that his wife was actually having an affair for a long time. Every time he would go away on business, that was when him and his wife would get it on, and it's like, uh-oh. So I come back, and the husband, I keep almost saying his name, I don't want to say his name. The husband, he is like having an all-out fight with the guy. He's like strangling him, and at some point the wife is like, stop, you're gonna kill him. He's like, I don't care, I'll go to jail for this. And he's saying some like profanities that I'm not going to repeat, because they don't really add to the story, but he is extremely upset, obviously, and he is strangling him, and he's fighting with the guy, and it's kind of funny, because, like, he's kind of twerpy, but they're still fighting, and, like, it's, like, a legit fighting, like, it's like they're both holding their own in the fight, like, despite the huge size difference, and, finally, the husband body slams Lamar into the dining table that was Mrs. Rogers' grandmother's, and so I come home and I see Lamar storming off, and I see the husband storming off, and then the girl's like, please don't tell. I was like, please don't tell what? Like, what, that you're having an affair? I already knew that. I already knew you're cheating on him, and I knew it was with Lamar. And it's like, please don't tell. It's like, tell who? At this point, everyone already knows. So, finally, it's like, I'm not gonna keep secrets for you. You don't even like me. You're mean to me, and you cheat on your husband, and you never want to hang out. So then, Mrs. Rogers comes home, and she sees that the house is completely destroyed because the couch is flipped over, the dining table is smashed, the island is all messed up because there was stuff on the island, and it got thrown around, the couch got messed up, like, it looked like a tornado had went through this house and just ravished it. So, she's like, what happened to my grandmother's table? And I was like, well, from what I could conclude, the husband and your boyfriend had a fight because the husband found out that your boyfriend was having an affair with his wife. And she just like froze for a minute, and then she just started angry screaming, like, and she went full ghetto for a minute, and she's like, you're making this up. It's like, no, like, this is what happened. And then the husband came back for a brief moment, and he started screaming with his wife, and I was just in the kitchen trying to, like, make some food because I was hungry. I didn't eat breakfast that day. And I was making some pasta, and this was all happening, and then Lamar came back, and he started fighting with the husband again, and the woman was, like, screaming, no, leave him alone, you're gonna kill him. And then, no, he was not, because he even had, like, a Glock with him, and then the husband, like, pinned him down, knocked the Glock away from him, and was, like, strangling him, and the woman's like, Mrs. Rogers, like, get off my man, and she's like, no, and they're all everyone's all screaming, and it was really funny because Mrs. Rogers, like, he ain't want no skinny white chick, And he's like, excuse me, but I am a very hot, skinny white chick, and of course your man wants me. Everyone wants me. I'm just that attractive and stuff. And this also happened like a long time ago. This happened almost a decade ago. So I don't remember it too clearly, but I remember it enough that I wanted to talk about it because it was pretty hysterical. So then the wife, she leaves. The husband, he leaves, and Lamar's still here, and we are fighting, because I'm saying, like, what? You're really a piece of work, and he's like, you stay out of this, you skinny white girl, finally, Mrs. Rogers like, you know what, I've had enough of your sorry ass, get out of my house. And so she throws him out, and he's like, this is all your fault, and he called me a name. He's like, how is this my fault? How is this my fault? And then he's like, how is it not? So finally, it's just me and I'm cooking, and Mrs. Rogers is like on her knees in front of the pile of rubble that was once her table, and she's just like trying to fight back the tears so hard. Also, by the way, with the actual build here, you see me using these wine racks. If you have the matching cabinetry to the counters, by all means feel free to replace the wine rack with the cabinets. I just did that because it's like a base game alternative. Because obviously, if you don't have like a modded version of this, then the cabinets won't work. So I try to keep all my builds CC free and mod free. Although I am using, you're seeing here that I'm using the place anything and shiftable anything, so I can get this flower bouquet on the center of the table and not on like a side of it. And I use the shiftable anything mod quite often, and I'm almost certain that works basically what happens if you try to use this house without the shiftable anything mod. What ends up happening is it looks like it does in my build, but the second you try to move it, it just goes to be where it would be if you didn't have the mod. So for example, this candelabra, it's in the middle of the table when you download the house, but if you try to move it, or if you try to move the table, it's going to lock it to one half of the table. But yeah, so I'm like, well, Mrs. Rogers, I know it's not as nice as your grandmother's table, but we can eat on the outside. We can eat on the card table, because I have a card table that we were eating on outside. She's like, shut your bitch ass up. And like, you're going to equate my grandmother's antique table to this dollar store card table. It's like, well, what do you want me to say? It's a table. We need a table now. The table's here. I might be able to take a crack at fixing this table later, but like, this table is a non-operated, this table's of no use to us. Oh, and by the way, that married couple, they were like newlyweds too. Newlyweds, and she's cheating on him already. I think it's a redhead thing though, because my sister Stella's a redhead, and she's also total whore. Also, my voice is a little bit parched. I was at a party the other night, and I was doing a lot of singing, so my voice is just a little bit strained, but I'm trying to get this done. So apologies for that. Anyway, me and her ate in absolute silence. She ate on the floor. I ate by the card table. We have an island. We have the island there. It's not like we couldn't have eaten at the island, but she ate at the floor because she was like so distraught over the table. And I ate outside because she was being really mean to me, because she was mad that, I don't know why, everyone said it was my fault this happened. And it's like, it's not my fault your boyfriend cheated with your wife. But like, the wife said it was my fault, the husband said it was my fault, the wife said it was my fault for telling. It wasn't my fault for telling because everyone saw. And while they were fighting, the guy, Lamar, was naked while they were fighting. And, yeah, so that was, I had to get out of there after that, because it wasn't even worth money that I put on the lease. I just had to get out. Because, like, everyone was, like, being extremely mean to me after that. They were saying it's my fault. And it's like, I really don't see how it was my fault. Like, I actively tried to warn you that your boyfriend was being a cheater. And I warned you that your wife was being a cheater. But y'all didn't want to hear it. Y'all wanted to believe that ignorance was bliss and that your partners were going to stay faithful. But no, they did not. They did not. So after this, I have another horror story that I could tell you. This one actually isn't as bad, and I'm just going to call them Red 1, Red 2, Red 3, Red 4, and Red 5, because I don't want to use their real names because they're actually still, one of them is actually still in my life, and I know some of them watch my video. So this next story, I don't want to use names like at all because the people, they're all still very much here. Like if I talk about them, they're going to see it. And I don't think I've ever even told them like the details about what happened. But after this scenario here, I just got in my truck and I drove away. And that's when I met Red 1. And Red 1 was like the super nice lady. And she's like, hey, I have this really cool house. I'm not going to describe the house because that'll immediately give away who she is. But it was a very interesting house that I can't describe without everyone knowing who it is. And that's also why it's not going to be a set location in this show. For the most of these, I'm making them almost one-for-one recreations of the real world location. But with certain places specifically, I'm not. I'm just going to like use gallery versions of them because like I don't like generic ones that somebody else built because I don't want to like dox anyone or reveal too much. So, but if I think there's no way I'll know where the place is, then I'll do it as like a fun little Easter egg. But yeah, this one, there's no way I could do it because her house is actually kind of famous. But yeah, Red 1 had saw that I was living in my truck. I was like, hey, do you want to come live with me? And I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, what are the parameters of it? And it's like, oh, you can just stay for as long as you want. If you want to pay, you can pay, but you don't have to. And I was like, okay, wow, thanks. And so there was another girl that was living with her, Red 2, and there were actually 3 of them living there with her, with Red 1. There was Red 2, Red 3, and Red 4. And all 4 of them were dating. And later there was Red 5, but Red 5 wasn't dating them to my knowledge. But she fit the type that Red 1 liked. All these women were like smoking hot bombshells, but they were redheads. That's why I'm calling them Red 1, Red 2, because they had very red hair. And I should probably mention that when this happened, I also had red hair. So, I was approached by Red 1 and she saw that I had red hair and I was like a hot young bombshell with red hair. And she's like, oh, do you want to come live here? I thought nothing of it. And so, right off the bat, I get along really well with Red 2. We're super close friends. She's like super wise and helps me out a lot. And she actually helped found the Sunset Sisters, and along with Red 5. And Red 4, I don't really know Red 4. I've met her a couple times, but we haven't really spoken. But Red 3 was an absolute bitch, and I have no problem saying that. So, I have to fight the urge to call them by their real names so bad. Red 3 was incredibly jealous of me. She's like, oh, it must be nice for you to come live here rent-free and have the nice bedroom. It's like, nice bedroom? This was an empty closet. It's like, well, I would have liked it for someone that I know, and you got it instead. Because, my friend isn't a lesbian. It's like, well, I'm not a lesbian either. What did you... and so she's got like really aggressive towards me because she was jealous of me because she thought that I was moving in. This is clearly a harem situation, like a reverse harem where like there's multiple women. I guess that's technically a harem, but like a woman harem, like a lesbian harem. So, Yeah, Red 3 was incredibly aggressive towards me because I wasn't a lesbian, and she was jealous that I was stealing the affection of Red 1 and Red 2. And I probably would have stolen the affection of Red 3 too. Red 4 if I had known them more. And I think there was actually a Red 6 that I had never seen or met before. And I also think that Red 4 was not living at this house because I almost never saw her there. And I mean, I wasn't there a lot because I had school, I had work, and I had my social life, and I was in a bunch of extracurricular activities. So really, realistically, I was coming back like at 7 o'clock at night every night. So it's possible that she was just there in the morning. But yeah, I was like trying to arrange little movie nights for us to get together. Well, I bonked the microphone, sorry. I was trying to arrange for like movie nights for us to get together and know each other better. And we gave each other gifts for Christmas and birthdays and stuff. But Red 3 just was not having it. And I to this day, I don't know why, but one day I found on, I don't know where it came from, but I found this giant board game, and it was like Never Have I Ever, but it was like, it took up the entire deck, and me and my friends were playing this giant life-size board game where we were the pawns, and you would advance if you did stuff like, oh, I've never seen an alien before. I've never stayed up till 4 in the morning before. I've never talked to someone for 3+ hours, and you advance based on like stuff like that. And oops, I said her name. And Red 3 legit just pulls a gun on everyone and starts shooting at us, and she's like, "Get off of my lawn!" She legit says that. And it's like, we're not even on the lawn, we're on the deck. Get it right, lady. And so she's crazy, and so obviously after that, I don't want to be there anymore. So I'm looking for other options. But during that time, Red 3 had left wet pantyhose on my bed. She had broken my TV. She had done all this horrible stuff to me. And Red 1 and 2 are like so nice to me. And even Red 5 is really nice to me. And yeah, so one day I come home and I'm in my room and I'm recording a video and I hear someone walking around. So I was like, "Hello? Are you here? Anyone here?" And I go out to see, and there's no one there. And then I see out of the corner of my eye like a black shadowy figure just running away. And now I realize what I saw was someone wearing a full leather gimp suit. I didn't process what that was at the time. I just like saw like a shadowy figure, and I didn't realize it's like a gimp suit. So I go over and I'm chasing this person in a gimp suit around, not knowing that they're even in a gimp suit. And it's like, "Hello, it's here. Somebody's here." And then Red 2 comes home. It's like, somebody's here. It's like, "Oh, you're being crazy." So yeah, Red 1 was like a sister to me. I was really close with Red 2 and Red 5, but Red 3 just hated me because I was there. So I had to get out of there. I felt like I was not safe there because Red 3 had a gun. She really hated me, and she's actively shooting at my friends multiple times. So I had to get out of there. That was not a good situation. And I mean, I wasn't paying anything anyway, so it's not like I lost anything. So that's when I found the townhouse that I was living in with a bunch of YouTubers. And YouTubers make for alright people in real life, but online they are truly narcissistic and toxic. I was friends with a YouTuber who had a cooking channel. I was friends with a YouTuber who had a vlog channel, or like I guess it would be a commentary channel now. And I was friends with a crafter and a furry. And we were all really close friends, but once they moved out, it was like a very different thing. Like, they didn't want to keep in touch. They didn't want to talk anymore. They would snub you at places and ghost you. And it's like, okay, that's something. And years later, they met me at like a convention, because I went to like VidCon at some point back before it was like corporate and like not for the creators. And she's like, oh, hey, Sammy, how have you been? It's like, don't talk to me. It's like, oh my gosh, what is that animosity for? If I didn't know any better, I think you'd have some tension between us. Like, of course there's tension between us. What do you think? You're going to blow me off for years at a time? And you're not going to talk to me, and I'm not going to have an ill will towards that? And she's like, oh, you're being bitter about it just because your YouTube channel didn't take off and mine did. It's like, no, it's not about that. I wasn't mad that your YouTube channel blew up and mine didn't. And also, mine at the time that I had a blog channel that had 13,000 subscribers. That's what I would consider good numbers. But hers was actually still bigger than that still. And she was just a bitch after that. And I was really upset because I thought we were friends, and then she totally blows me off, and then she tries to come back like nothing was wrong. It's like, no, like, I was trying to keep in touch with you when you blew me off, and you want to be friends. Like, don't act like my friends. But anyway, there was this situation here with the driveway, because there was a place next to us that we had the shared driveway situation. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but they wanted to separate it with a tree, and it made it extraordinarily difficult for everyone involved to pull in, because now there's a tree here. And so one day, I don't know who did it, I think it was the furry, I think it was our furry friend. We called him Husky because he was a husky furry, and he was also kind of like a lumberjack. So one day, there was a huge fight because we were selling merch. We were all fighting over our merch because we wanted to do like a batch order of merch, and we couldn't agree on like what type of merch we wanted. Like, I just wanted t-shirts. And they're like, no, you gotta do hoodies. And it's like, what about hats? And so finally Husky just explodes like, I don't give a damn about your stupid shirts, and started hacking away at that poor little tree. Just chopped it down, and then later, the person who owned the building's like, you know what? I'm gonna bring the tree back, and I'm gonna bring it back with vengeance. There was like a row of plants planted in front of all this with the busted tree in a pot. And it's like, there was nothing that none of us can do about it at this point. So I'm thinking, like, maybe at some point somebody will probably have taken like a sledgehammer, just like started smashing all those pots. I don't know, but it was unfortunate because I had like the perfect meme in my head of like, you fools, this wasn't even my final form. This is my final form. But I realized none of them would get it, and it was like so painful. Because I thought, should I post it anyway? It's like, and maybe when I was like a closet nerd, it's like, no. I have all this greatness and no idea what to do with it. So yeah, we ended up not living together much after that one. And that's when I ended up getting this house where I live in now. And I had lived with my roommate Brandy and my friend Kenzie, and Husky actually did come back to live with us for a brief while. But it was unfortunate because he was a furry, and so obviously, you know, really kinky, really loud gay sex. Like, you would hear him at all hours of the day and night and morning, just like moaning and screaming super loud in his room because he was a screamer. And him and his boyfriends were like having sex so much that it would like rock the chandelier in the room under it. And we're like, okay, is no one gonna comment about this? And it's like I'm not saying that that's the wrong idea. It's just saying, like, is that what we're doing? So yeah, that was unfortunate. But yeah, he was pretty cool aside from the really loud, rough, gay, kinky sex. And like, he had he had like a trapeze put in his room, and a BDSM frame, and one of those, what are they called? Where it like locks you in when in your, oh my god, I know what it's called. The stocks. Like, it was like one of those old-fashioned medieval stocks where you put your head and your hands in the thing, and then it clamps down and you can't move. And he would go into that, and then people would spank him. Like, he was into some extremely kinky stuff. And it was not at all discreet. It made a lot of us uncomfortable because we were all women except for him. And I thought, it'll be okay for him to do because he's gay and, like, he's not going to be a pervert. But, like, he was very, very, very much a pervert. It was just not directed towards us. And so, yeah, he had to go find his own place. We, like, told him, look, like, we like you, but this is getting out of hand. So, like, I think it might be better if you got your own place. That way you could do, like, this, do whatever you want, and it's not gonna be like, we don't have to be a part of that. Because, like, our house is pretty big, and you could still hear everything. Like, everything in detail. And I don't even think they had, like, an OnlyFans. This is obviously well before OnlyFans. This is, like back when porn was still, like taboo under the table thing. That one was, like, celebrated. So, yeah, and then my boyfriend, who ended up becoming my fiance, moved in with me, and he hated my friend Kenzie, who was living with us, and that was awkward. So basically, the moral of the story is that you really need to mesh well with your roommates, but if you can find the group that you click with, it's a great way to save money and have a place that's nicer than what you can afford. Because, like, now my aunt's living here, and she's paying more than half the rent. She's gotten, like, sort of an attitude. Of course, I'm pretty sure the brain tumor also did a lot of it, too. She had a brain tumor not that long ago. It was removed, but, like, still kind of a racist. Still, like, even more so racist now than she was before. Very much a bigot. She does not like gay people. So my cousin Max is actually staying with his boyfriend. And, Max is what's a nice way of saying this? He is a, adult entertainer. And him and his boyfriend make videos for money. And my aunt turned those on them. So, things have not been good in that regard. But I just feel like she's old. She's not going to be here for much longer. I don't want to upset her. I don't want to shorten her life by upsetting her. So, because I do really love her a lot. That's why she came to live here. Because when her sister died and my best friend died, I thought, well, I need a roommate. She doesn't want to live alone. No one else wants her. And this will be okay. But it obviously isn't. And I was stupid enough to make her a co-owner, specifically so I could rent to 3 people and her still. So, yeah, that's fun. So I'm kind of stuck with her now, but hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the story time. This will be up for download on a media player. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I shall see you at the screen. Ta-da!